In the shadowed corners of our world, whispers persist. They speak of the SCP Foundation, the Veiled Keepers, their vow to secure, to contain, to protect. One terror, SCP-173, the sculpture. Concrete, twisted with rebar, streaked with spray paint, it stands silent, motionless, a nightmare idol. Yet this stillness is a lie, a horrifying deception, a malevolent consciousness stirs. It waits. It moves when sight is broken, a blink. In that instant it strikes, with impossible speed, snapping necks, strangling with concrete arms. What if SCP-173 were real, here, now, in our world? The implications are staggering. The age of SCP-173. The Foundation, in its grim wisdom, understood the peril. SCP-173's containment was a testament to meticulous paranoia. A specially constructed cell, always locked, no windows, only cold, hard surfaces. At least 3 personnel were required, at all times. Their gazes must never falter. Their eyes must remain fixed upon the statue. Direct, unbroken observation was the only chain, the only bulwark against its predatory nature. A fragile shield of human vigilance. A constant nerve-shredding watch against the unspeakable. But what if those chains were to break? Imagine the scene, a flicker. The power grid stutters. For a fraction of a second the lights die. Emergency generators kick in, but that fraction, that infinitesimal slice of darkness, is enough. A single synchronized blink from weary eyes. A moment of shared human frailty. That is all it would take. The cost of that blink? Unimaginable. The price of that shared instant of blindness. Paid in blood and broken bone. The nightmare begins. The immediate aftermath would be a symphony of terror, a choked gasp, the wet, sickening crack of a cervical vertebra, then silence. A profound, heavy silence, more terrifying than any scream. Alarms would blare. Crimson lights would bathe the corridors in a hellish glow. The creature is loose. SCP-173 is free. Chaos erupts from that single point of failure. A ripple of dread spreads through the facility. Personnel scramble. Protocols activate. But the stone horror is swift and silent. Multiple breach scenarios paint an even grimmer picture. A coordinated assault by forces unknown, seeking to weaponize the anomaly. Or perhaps another contained entity, a rival horror, tears through the facility, inadvertently freeing others. Imagine a cascading failure, systemic collapse. Each scenario a fresh layer of horror. Each possibility, a new avenue for the sculpture to escape its confines, to find new victims. The Foundation's deepest fears realized, their constant vigilance shattered by a moment of dreadful reality. This is the genesis of a wider global terror. The psychological burden upon those who guard SCP-173, even within containment, is immense. Imagine the strain, the relentless, unyielding need to stare, to never look away. The fear of blinking becomes an obsession. Every muscle aches with the effort of forced wakefulness. Sleep offers no solace, only the terror of what might happen if vigilance slips. Minds fray, sanity erodes under the constant pressure. Paranoia becomes a constant companion. Some might see it in their waking nightmares, the unblinking horror. Now project this fear onto the world. If SCP-173's existence became undeniable public knowledge, mass hysteria would surely follow, a contagion of terror. The primal fear of the unseen predator, the thing that moves in the periphery, would grip humanity. Every darkened alley, every unlit room a potential hunting ground. Every statue, no matter how benign, would become an object of suspicion, a source of profound irrational dread. The world would be forever looking over its shoulder, forever afraid of the silence. A new malady would spread, blink paranoia. People would become terrified to blink, especially when alone. Social interactions would transform, trust would evaporate. Who will keep watch while I close my eyes? Strangers would eye each other with suspicion. Families would implement desperate, ritualistic staring patterns. The simple, unconscious act of blinking, now a terrifying vulnerability. The world would collectively hold its breath. Society itself would begin to unravel under this unique, insidious pressure. Art and culture, mirrors of the soul, would reflect this new, grotesque reality. Statues, once symbols of beauty or remembrance, would become icons of horror. Children's innocent games of statues or red light, green light would acquire a chilling, sinister undertone. The psychological scar upon humanity's collective unconscious would be deep, unseen yet profoundly damaging, a creeping dread that seeps into dreams, into waking thoughts, an unhealing wound upon the psyche of mankind. The world would never feel truly safe again. Section 4. Steel against stone. The world's desperate stand. The world's militaries would be mobilized. Soldiers, trained to combat tangible foes of flesh and blood, would face an entirely new kind of enemy. An enemy of stone and malice. An entity that cannot be reasoned with, cannot be intimidated. Their bullets would spark harmlessly against its concrete hide. Their explosives might chip it, scar it, but could they truly destroy it? Their courage, however great, would be pitted against an unfeeling, unblinking avatar of death. A truly asymmetrical warfare. New tactics born of desperation would emerge. Constant, overwhelming floodlights to banish every shadow. High-frequency strobe lights designed to disorient or perhaps to force continuous observation through after-images. Teams of soldiers operating in relentless shifts, their sole duty to stare. Drones equipped with multiple cameras providing a constant visual feed. Yet technology is fallible. Power sources can be cut. Humans, even soldiers, can falter, can blink. The stone horror would exploit any weakness, any lapse. Societal response would be drastic. Cities, once bustling with life, might fall under martial law. Strict curfews enforced. Blink-free zones established in public squares, bathed in perpetual light, monitored by countless cameras and guards. The economy would seize. Productivity would plummet. Freedom, that cherished ideal, would be willingly sacrificed on the altar of perceived safety. The simple act of walking down a street would become a calculated risk, a terrifying gamble. Would this unprecedented threat unite humanity, or would it splinter us further? Nations might pool their resources, their brightest minds against this common unearthly foe, a global coalition against the darkness. Conversely, fear and paranoia could reign. Accusations might fly, blame for its appearance, for its release. Some might even seek to control it, to weaponize it. The sculpture, a silent, indifferent catalyst for global instability, for the potential collapse of international order. Humanity's unity, tested as never before. Section 5. The cracks in creation, humanity's fading grasp. SCP-173, terrifying as it is, represents but a single crack in the dam of reality. The SCP Foundation, by its very existence, implies a universe teeming with such anomalies, horrors that lurk just beyond our perception. If the sculpture can manifest in our world, what other nightmares might follow? What other entities, equally hostile, equally incomprehensible, wait for their chance? The chilling implication is that our world is but a fragile island, floating precariously upon an infinite ocean of the unknown and the malevolent. The very concept of containing SCP-173 highlights the profound fragility of human control. Its security relies on absolute perfection, unblinking eyes, unfailing power systems, unwavering discipline. But human systems are inherently flawed. Humans are fallible. We tire. We err. We blink. The creature, in its patient malevolence, merely waits. It is an eternal predator. Time is on its side. Sooner or later the defenses will falter, the watch will fail, and it will move again. Its freedom and inevitability. The philosophical shockwave would be devastating. Humanity has long considered itself the apex of creation, the masters of this planet. SCP-173's existence shatters that comforting illusion. It reveals us not as masters but as potential prey. Our vaunted science, our logic, our reason, all seem pitifully inadequate against such an entity. It mocks our understanding of physics, of life itself. This single, crude statue forces a terrifying reevaluation of our place in the cosmos. We are small and terribly vulnerable. A desperate, frantic search for a method of ultimate destruction would undoubtedly commence. Can this stone horror truly be annihilated, or can it only be temporarily restrained, its threat merely postponed? Scientists and occultists alike would delve into forbidden lore, into dangerous experiments, seeking a final solution. But some things, perhaps, are fundamental aspects of a darker reality. Some things cannot be unmade, cannot be erased. The quest for its destruction might unleash even greater perils, or prove utterly futile. Section 6. Gazing into the void, futures, faiths, and forbidden knowledge. What future awaits a world where SCP-173 is an undeniable, persistent threat? It would be a world perpetually on guard, a society forever scarred. Children would be born into this age of staring. They would learn the terror of the blink before they learn to read. The loss of innocence would be absolute. The psychological weight of constant ambient fear would crush spirits. Joy would be a fleeting, furtive thing. Humanity would survive, perhaps, but it would be a diminished, haunted existence, forever looking for the flicker of unseen movement. If the Foundation's veil of secrecy is irrevocably torn, how does humanity cope with such public awareness? Some would demand total transparency, every secret, every anomaly, dragged into the harsh light of day. Knowledge, they would argue, is power. Others would crave blissful ignorance. A return to the comforting lies of a predictable world. The truth in this case is a dangerous, corrosive substance. It could unify in terror or shatter society into panicked, isolated fragments. The burden of knowing would be immense. Ethical debates, stark and terrible, would rage. The rights of anomalous entities? For something as mindlessly hostile as SCP-173, such considerations seem absurd. Yet the methods of its containment raise grim questions. The use of D-class personnel condemned prisoners as disposable resources. The sacrifices deemed necessary for the survival of the many. What is the moral cost of security? How much of our humanity do we sacrifice to protect humanity itself? These are questions with no easy answers, only horrifying choices. And in the deepest shadows, whispers of government conspiracies would surely grow louder. Was SCP-173 discovered, or was it created? A weapon gone rogue, or perhaps summoned by some shadowy cabal dabbling in arts best left undisturbed? Are there hidden factions within governments or beyond that seek to understand, to control, even to weaponize such entities? The truth, if it exists, would be buried under layers of denial and disinformation, lost in a labyrinth of shadows and fear, perhaps forever unknowable. A final, chilling secret